Hello! In this video, I'll go over the Amplify Texas Intervention Toolkit. I'll review what's included in the toolkit and how to use the toolkit in your daily instruction. On the top of the screen, you'll notice two tabs, Home and Intervention Toolkit. On the home screen, you'll notice a welcome message. And if you keep scrolling, you'll notice the assessment materials. The assessment materials are for the placement assessment in the beginning of the year and the mid-year assessment in the middle of the year. It includes the assessment overview. The assessment overview has the teacher instructions, the scoring guides, and it also tells the teacher how to make instructional groups that will help with the skills that students need additional practice with. Now, both of these assessments are already embedded in the Amplify Texas curriculum. You want to use those assessments to guide your instruction for intervention. Now let's look at the Intervention Toolkit tab. Within the Intervention Toolkit tab, there are 8 skills. Phonological and phonemic awareness. This is the ability to hear, identify, and manipulate spoken words. Letter sound knowledge. This is knowing the sounds of letters. Simple patterns. This is knowing the sounds of letters and sounding out simple words. Complex patterns. This is knowing the sounds of letters and sounding out more complex written words. Multisyllabic words. This is segmenting and blending words with more than one syllable. Fluency. This is the ability to read a text accurately and automatically with expression. Comprehension. This is the ability to make meaning from a text. And handwriting, to practice handwriting. Now, within each of these skills, I'll click Simple Patterns. There's going to be 3 parts: plan, teach, and monitor. Within plan, there are both blank lesson templates and lesson templates that are filled in. Let's look at the blank lesson templates first. So, guided practice. Guided practice is going to be a warm-up and guided practice. Explicit reinstruction is going to be a warm-up, explicit instruction, and 2 guided practice activities. Within the template, you can include the exercise, the materials that you'll need, and the minutes. And comprehensive reteaching. This is going to include a warm-up, explicit instruction, 2 guided practice activities, and an independent practice. Now, these are the blank templates. There are also templates that are filled in for you to reference as well. So as we can see here, this is a warm-up. I have an objective. I also see an exercise. So for this one, it says play match me. So when we go to the next screen, we're going to look for match me. We're also going to look for the letter cards. For the explicit instruction, we would just be explicitly teaching that particular sound to students with the large letter cards. If you keep scrolling for guided practice, for this guided practice, it says that we're going to be working on chaining. So we're going to look at the chaining. Notice all the materials are here that you'll need for the chaining. And then for the rest of the guided practice, it says practice, continue practicing guided practice worksheets. So we will look, so we have our plan. Now we'll look at teach. Within Teach, you'll notice that there are word lists, worksheets, activities, and games. Now, if you look, we would start with word list set 1. For word list set 1, we would practice these sounds, a, t. Then students would practice blending these words together. The word lists continue to get more and more difficult. That is the first word list. Now we would look at worksheets that go along with that word list. So we have set 1. We would make words with the letters provided. We want to stick with set 1. We want to review sound spellings for set 1. And again, we are making words with the letters that we've been practicing. Activities, remember we were looking for match me and chaining. Here are the directions for Match Me. You'll need large letter cards for Match Me. You would say a particular sound, ah, and students would point to that particular sound. And for chaining, there are the chaining directions and the chaining lists. For the chainings, you would change the word cod to cot to cat to mat. And the directions are there. And the games. So there are also games associated with it as well. So we have bingo for set 1. We have sound spelling memory for set 1. So if we look at bingo, there are bingo cards here, a 3x3, and also a 5x5. You would say a word and the students would mark that word off and they'd try to get 5 in a row or 3 in a row. So these are the different activities that go along with teach, and you'd go in order from set 1 to set 2 to set 3. Set 1, set 2, set 3. Then you would go to monitor, right? You want to be able to monitor the progress of students throughout. And here are the directions, and it tells you the scoring. If students get 8 or less right, you want to practice this skill again with them. If students get 11 to 15 right, that they can go on to the next skill. And it would be practicing with these words right here. So once they progress from set 1 to set 2, set 3, then we would go from simple patterns to complex patterns. Same process. Again, we have our lesson plan templates. There are also lesson templates filled in. We would progress through that with set 1, set 2, and then we would monitor it as well. Set 1, set 2. And again, from complex patterns, then we'd go into multisyllabic words, and then fluency and comprehension. And so we can look at comprehension as well. Planning, we have our blank templates, our templates that are filled in. For teach, again, we can go in order, set 1, set 2, and then monitoring, set 1, set 2. So in conclusion, you want to make sure that you give the beginning of year and middle of year assessments to your students. These assessments are going to give great data points and tell you how to make groups. From those groups, you'll know what skills you need to practice with those students, and you want to practice in order. Remember, think of the literacy house. You need a strong foundation, starting with phonological awareness, and then building into letter sound, then simple patterns, complex patterns, multisyllabic words, fluency, and finally comprehension. Thank you so much for this time.